All right. We're back.
Back
Hello.
again.
Yeah.
Girl, back. Tell a friend. Yep.
Take it away, Shara.
That was it.
Okay. Sorry guys, I'm eating grapes. Hey guys, what's up? You know, my spiel. Welcome back to the Roomies Digest. My name's Christine. I'm one half of the Roomies. And today, if you clicked on this link, you know that we're going to be talking about Crown of Midnight, which is the second book in the Throne of Glass series. That's right. Everybody, put your hands together.
Take out your Bibles.
Take out your Bibles.
Here
That's
it
right.
is.
That's right. All right. So let's go ahead and introduce ourselves.
Hey, I'm Sarah from Sarah's Shelves. Sarah's empty shelves, apparently.
Yeah, you're
So sad.
are so empty.
What else? Is that it?
We can do you know your rating?
Hell yeah, I do. I'm coming in with that energy today, okay?
Yeah. Are you the goblin today?
Yeah. All right, my rating?
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving it a 4-star.
What was the last one for you?
Like a low 3.
I knew you would love this one. I knew it.
Improvement. There we go.
I cried.
What?
Yep.
Me too.
But we'll get into that later. But like, yes, I cried. I threw the book at one point. And yeah.
You threw the book?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I love this for you. Sarah entering her like YA fantasy.
Yeah. You know where she also cried and almost threw the book?
Den of Vipers.
That's right. That's right, Catherine. And I've got the grapes to prove it. That's right. Anyway.
Oh God.
I'm excited. Catherine's dying, so you know she has to mute every now and then.
Yeah, I definitely will. Which is fun. Am I the next person to introduce myself?
Yeah, just do it.
Cool. Hey y'all, what's up? I'm Catherine. I'm sick.
Don't make her laugh, guys. Don't make her laugh because she'll go into a coughing fit.
That's gonna be really hard because we're pretty funny.
This is gonna be rough. But we're just gonna keep a calm energy.
Sure.
Yeah, I really liked this one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do ratings, but like,
would you recommend this book?
I would definitely like, and this makes me like want to continue the series. And also, one of my predictions was right in book 1,
which was.
Well, I don't know. Can we get into spoilers?
I mean, I'm gonna say it's a free for all, but if you want to wait, I think I know what you're gonna say. If you want to wait until we get to that point, then you can be like, "Told you."
I told.
And it's funny too, because like sometimes your camera will like freeze, so you're not coughing, but we hear you coughing.
She's like, "Don't worry, it's not COVID. You won't get it through the screen."
Aw, Catherine.
Hi, I'm Steph from 70 Bookish. I gave it a 4.5.
Yeah, you did.
It's still. I know. As I've only, like I said before, I read the first 4. Well, I guess 5 because I read the short story collection years ago, and Crown of Midnight and Queen of Shadows were my 2 favorite, and I think that's gonna remain the same. So I love this one. It's wild, and it made me cry as well the second time around, even though I knew things were coming.
Y'all crying. Hello.
Wait, but I'm trying
I was sobbing.
I'm trying to guess which. I think I know what part you cried at, and I don't think it's the part that I cried at.
Probably not.
I highly doubt that we cried at the same part.
Whoa, let me think about that.
I feel like me and Steph may have cried at the same part.
I feel we did.
Yeah, probably.
It's you holding the grapes. Like, just.
Wait, I was trying
Wait a minute.
Like if I had to guess what parts you guys would cry at. Now Sherman, now that wasn't funny. Sorry, he tried to grab the grapes. I wonder what it would be. I feel like you guys would have. Are we saying stuff? Whatever. Just tell me when we get there, and then I'll know if I was right.
Okay.
Yeah, 4.5. Yeah, you did. I gave it a 4.5 too.
I knew
this one was much better than the first one, I think.
Oh, for sure.
But like, I liked the first one, so like, I'm not complaining. I was along for the ride. But I felt like the plot was easier to follow for some reason. Like it flowed better. You were gonna say something, Catherine?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna agree with you. I liked the first one well enough. I thought like the first one was fine. It didn't immediately hook me. This one though, like we already know the characters. We know some of the backstory, and I appreciated that it did kind of like jump right in. There was a ton of like, and here's what happened last time, you know?
Yeah. Previously on the last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I think a lot of the gripes with the first one, not necessarily from us, but just like with the community, is always that they think it's going to be a huge training sequence, like a huge, like, you know, like the Hunger Games where like you go in, you play the games or like whatever. But obviously in that one, it's not really about her fighting, because as we know, we already, they skipped some of them, you know what I mean? They're like however many challenges, they skipped some in the thing. So I think in this one, it's like Sarah J. Maas was like, all right, we don't need to do that kind of a plot. Like we can literally just have it be about, you know, what it's about, which is the evil king is accumulating this power. You know, what is that power? And trying to figure out, you know, how that connects to what's happening with all the characters. So for me, it's just that. Huh?
I'm glad they did that with the king, because like it could have easily been, we talked about it previously about how the king definitely had good motivation, but it could have been easily that they wrapped it up in the first book and then we moved on to something else. But I'm glad that it's something that's like a through line and that we're going to get more from it.
And it makes sense because, like, not to jump too far ahead in the plot, but like it was revealed in this one that the king had found this power when he was like 20 years old. Like he has been trying to hatch this evil plan for like his whole life. And that to me, I'm like, mega villain. Okay. You are not a Disney villain. Okay. You are serious about your crimes. And he's willing to, you know,
I love that it's like, okay, he's been hatching this plan for the past, you know, 25 to 30 years.
Yeah.
And then it's all going to be foiled by this 18-year-old girl. Like, I love that.
Exactly.
As it should be.
Classic YA.
As it should be, Miss YA. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but even when I was trying to watch like some of like other people's thoughts and stuff, like watching full spoiler vlogs, every single one I watched was like, oh yeah, this is just a filler book. Like nobody likes this book.
I know.
And I was like, I like it so much more than Throne of Glass. I mean, I think
a filler book, first of all, one of the best characters passes away in this book. So let's okay.
That's the part.
That's the part I cried.
The part.
Yeah.
Throne of Glass was 70% a slog and then 30% of like, oh, we're actually getting somewhere. And then this one, it's like the whole time stuff
was plotting.
Literally, I was saying that to myself. I was listening to my ambiance reading the book, and I was like, the plot is plotting. The plot is plotting.
Well, that's the thing I was saying too last time is that for you specifically, Sarah, I felt like if you liked the book enough, the first one enough, you were going to like this one because you're already seeing that there's so many catalysts happening that are going to be through lines for the rest of the series that are like so important to the rest of the series and moving our characters forward, that I also get frustrated when people say it's a filler book, because like regardless of if you like it or don't like it, there's a lot that happens, especially in the last half of this book, that like is pivotal to the rest of the plot. So, or I assume, because I haven't finished the series, but
I think that's something that Sarah J. Maas does really well. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I think she literally will give you the answer that you're looking for if you're looking for it. Does that make sense?
Mm.
So like this whole time, like let's just go, we're going to go ahead and talk about spoilers. So, you know, if for some reason you clicked on this video and you're at this point and you haven't finished the book, get out. Just kidding. But, you know, stay at your own risk. But like spoilers, like Selena Sardothian is Aelin, right? She's the long lost princess of Terrasen.
Mm-hmm.
And that is revealed in like the last pages of this book, right? So, but the whole time we even knew in the first book, right, that that she was magical. There was something about her, you know what I mean? Like something's going on. And then throughout this whole entire book, you know, there are little tiny things. I think the biggest giveaway for me was when she was singing the song, the lament for Nehemia. And you know, Dorian or who I forget. Oh no, it's Chaol.
Chaol, yeah.
Yes. He's there and he's watching and he's like, oh, it seems super strange that like, you know, only the royalty of Terrasen would know an ancient Fae language. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, okay, if this isn't telling you, and he's like, oh, she must be like a minor lord's daughter. I'm like, oh my God, you're so smart, but you're so dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm like, I even picked up on it, so I know that's
yeah.
As soon as they mentioned this Aelin person, which like I'd seen the name thrown around in the fandom, I didn't know in reference to thrown around.
Exactly.
What was I saying?
Sorry.
Sorry.
You see the name Aelin thrown around.
I have so much cough medicine in my system right now. Yeah, I'd seen the name thrown around, so I knew she was important. But as soon as like it was mentioned in the book, I was like, so that's Selena. Like, and then also I was right in our first live show. I said, I think she's part Fae.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough,
yeah,
she is.
She is to like the upteenth degree. Because obviously, like I said in the last little bit, you know, we all get that like packed full family tree that Chaol like discovers, and he's like, you know, I just imagine him being in there reading this book, y'all, and he's literally just like, do, you know, just like, oh my God, her great grandma was Mab, who was the third sister of the ancient Fae, you know what I mean, like line or whatever. And so it's just so funny because he like really, Sarah Janet, she really spelled it out for you. Like if you didn't understand, she even put in the little poem in there that was like, you know, I forget what it is off the top of my head, but it's basically like the eyes of something are blue and gold, like the eyes of the throne are blue.
Oh, they're like they're gold rimmed or whatever.
Yeah, gold rimmed. And he's like, oh my God, that's why she never looked people in the face. You know what I mean?
Like, yeah, like she would never look the king in the eye. That. But like, I know we were talking about it during the last live show that like Chaol's eyes had silver or something. And
eyes of silver.
But which was wrong because he was just crying.
But at the same time, was it like because we do? Is it foreshadowing to this?
Is it foreshadowing?
That's something that you'll have to find out for yourselves because I'm not telling you squat diddly.
Can you guys do me a favor and tell me what's going on? Because I've already read so far ahead. What's going on with Dorian right now?
Dorian has just he's discovered he has magic.
Okay,
he
cool.
doesn't know like what's going on. Chaol has seen him use the magic, and Selena knows like he has magic.
Okay, that's what I thought. What
it's what like a wacky way to know you have magic. Like in the wackiest way possible.
Yeah, he punches a literal wall and then the wall explodes. And he's like, whoa.
Well, except there was like hints to it before that because there was the time he like woke up and there was like all this frost around him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And his like they go a little bit into, I keep saying they, Sarah Janet, who wrote the book, okay? She goes a little bit into detail on that, how you know, Selena recognizes it as raw magic, which is like, it's like the most rare form of magic because it can mean that he can do anything, you know what I mean? So like, it's really setting Dorian up to be like a very cool character, I think, down the line. but yeah, at this point, the only reason his magic is kind of like coming out and manifesting is because we find out that, you know, his father also has magic and has basically used the word keys to, you know, I guess block out everyone else's magic except their family tree, like their family line. So that's what's going on with Dorian. I also really like this book because of the carnival portion. It's a very small portion, obviously, because we have Baba Yellowlegs, but I like that portion because I love the witches in this series. Like the witches, y'all, the witches, they're the coolest, okay? They're iron teeth, like they literally eat people. Hello, you know, and they're born from like demons and fae.
I love the
I'm
witch.
excited. Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see more of them if there's more, because I feel like we just get like the smallest hint.
I love that you actually say that because, you know, as we know, Sarah Janet loves a foreshadowing. Yeah. And literally, Aelin is I'm just going to call her Aelin from now on because I guess that's her name. Selena is just like, well, you know, I hope that none of the witches come back to the palace and cause a trouble for you guys, you know? She's
well, and like, the king also at one point when we're in his POV, he's like, well, and the witches will probably come through here. And I'm like, okay, so we're going to see the witches again.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like said, you know, yes, Baba Yellowlegs. You know, y'all know Miss Sarah Janet loves to pull from other sources, okay? It's very much like Baba Yaga, okay? Y'all already know. But
I was gonna say that I am the only one, I guess, here who didn't like the witch aspect. Like I could care less about it.
I can't wait till you actually get the witch aspect. You know what I mean? I feel like it's only been a tiny slice because you saw the nasty old. She's like Baba Yellowlegs is like the queen of one of the three kind of like big, what can we call it? Like clans of witches. So like her important part is basically that she's in charge of these witches that are more like what's the word? Like when they move around a lot, they're like nomads almost. Okay. But the other two clans are not like that. So I think the interesting part here is that when they find out, you know, that like their leader has died, obviously there's going to be repercussions which come up later on in the series. So it'll be interesting to see if you like any of that once those characters come about from that. But yeah, the witches are definitely one of my favorite parts. I'll say it.
Me too.
I did just want to say hello to everybody in the chat because I haven't clicked a single comment. So hello. I love that you're here with no knowledge. Welcome. I'm like 20% into Empire Storm. There is a literal crack. There's literal crack in this series. I'm glad that you're pushing through, okay? I thought that this read along would be like a little too fast, but it seems like everybody's like having an okay time.
I feel like most people are ahead.
Yeah, they're very ahead, which is great. That's kind of low-key how I want it to be. Yeah, look at that. It's sad, but it's the solid truth. Good evening. I love reading these on my Kindle, but I also love a new cover. I have to talk myself out of buying a box set daily. You know, you could be like Catherine and just get the bind up of 6,000 pages.
It's so many pages, like, and it's terrible because I have, like, when I'm reading it, I've kind of been listening to the audiobook and reading at the same time. But like when I'm just straight up reading it, I have no sense of how much I have left in the book because on my Kindle or on my phone, it just says like, you have 61 hours left of reading. You have like 5,000 pages left. It's crazy. Anyway, sorry.
1 second. There we go. Okay. Yes. I also thought that was funny. I was like, well, you've got quite a bit to go, don't you there? Also, Mandy, I hope you're not here. I'm so sorry to say. Because I feel like you might not be, but hopefully that gave you enough time to like click off. If not, you can yell at me in my DMs. Hello. Didn't finish, but I'm gonna catch up. Watching the whole Throne of Glass live. Loving the second book right now. Team Kale. So yeah, so you know, I love this little hashtag. Let's talk about it. Who's Team Kale? Who are we? What teams are we right now?
Let the record show that I was never Team Dorian. I was never Team Dorian. Let the record show, okay?
I wasn't Team either of them in the last one.
There we go. But what are you now?
But I loved, well, I mean, okay, so here's the thing. I was like fully invested in Kale when they were like doing their little canoodling, and I was loving it. I am kind of like back in my like I just don't know, like I don't think they're gonna end up I don't think they're gonna end up as Endgame. Or they're gonna have to go through a lot to like find their way back to each other after kind of everything that happened. Yep. I love Kale though.
I think they're definitely not Endgame, but like I keep hearing whisperings of a certain character everyone thought was going to be in this book, but like wasn't, and I feel like this person might be Endgame for Selena. Don't know who they are, don't know their association.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. Like we haven't met them yet, so I have no opinion of that person.
But like, everyone still loves Dorian, who's like read this. So I'm like, does she just end up with Dorian in the end? Like, does she just go back to him? Because there was a part of this book, and I was like, she loves a foreshadowing moment where it's like, I'll come back for you, or something like that.
Yeah, but then also Dorian at one point like is looking at Selena and Kale even after like they're like not together, and he's like, it's always been about them. So I feel like it's kind of back and forth with the two of them.
It's really interesting that that's his POV, like Dorian's POV. And let's just talk about this whole kind of like character development for him, because for me, when I was reading Dorian's character in this book, I was like, his character took a step back in this book, because he became a very jealous, kind of like insecure, kind of like, oh, why is it not me kind of character.
Oh my god, I hate him from like page 1. I mean, he wasn't on like literal page 1, I don't think. No. But I hated him in the beginning because he's just such a, I can't say this word on your channel. He's such a pea. And I'm like, because she's literally bringing these heads and he's like, ew, gross.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I've never killed anyone. Eek.
I'm like, oh my god, like you knew she was an assassin. Like, why are you being so squeamish?
Yeah, but you didn't really know. Like, he's just such a like,
She was kind of weak in the first book, but like in this one, she's like,
yeah, she's actually doing assassin stuff in this one. I think Sarah J was like, I don't think I made her enough of an assassin in the first one. We're just gonna throw that in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for me, like, first of all, I didn't even realize, I read this second book, obviously second time through, and I did not realize Selena was a virgin in this book. I was like, what the? So I missed that the first time. I had no idea.
I knew it, and I'm glad.
I'm glad. So that was, I don't know, not funny to me, but I was just like, wow, I never knew that. So that happened.
How did you not know? How did you know?
The first time around, I don't know. I don't think I like registered that for some reason.
I guess people who didn't read Assassin's Blade first wouldn't know that.
Right. So I think when I was remembering it, I thought for some reason she had like hooked up with Dorian in the first book or second book. So at some point I was like, oh, that totally happened. No.
They just kissed a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm crazy. But yeah, and then I think like going forward, her and Kale, they have some of the same kind of like eye to eye for morals and stuff, but his main character that he really showed in this book was that he had put the country and kind of like the crown and his loyalty to that, like his job, above people and like his friends and kind of like the lives of those people, right? And obviously he makes this huge mistake. We know he doesn't tell Selena about the king's plot to kind of like question Nehemia, who knows what he was going to do. But because of that, obviously Selena becomes very distrustful of him, and she kind of can't forgive him because she's like, it doesn't really matter, like if it wasn't like whoever it was that killed her or whatever, it's the fact that like you as my friend, you as my lover, you know, didn't feel the need to tell me. And like, that's my friend, and now she's dead because of that. Like, not because of that directly, but like, I might have been able to do something. And I don't know, in that whole part, I resonated with that, because I was like, I hate to have a secret not told to me. I'm not gonna lie. I love secrets. I love to know plots. I love to know that kind of stuff. And if my man hadn't told me something, and then my best friend gets killed because of it, oh, Sonny, you glad to be alive. You are glad to be alive, because that's crazy. That's crazy. So I think just him showing that that's his character, and like making that mistake kind of sets him up to be able to make a different choice if that comes around again. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because he really realized, you know,
like, he learned from it, and he's never gonna make that mistake again.
Right, because he's like, I can't lose, you know, Selena, Dorian, or like whoever else I become close with in the future. You know what I mean? Like, I can't lose those people because of a country and a king who are literally evil. Like, what the heck? So that was a big plot point, I think, and also why I think that their romance probably won't last. But you never know. You never know.
I mean, I definitely, he's already like thinking like marriage, future, babies. Oh. Like, I'm seeing full, and then like he does have a moment where he's like, oh yeah, I forgot that she's like 18 and I'm like older than her. And I'm like, dude.
I was so embarrassed for him, y'all. Yeah, I was so embarrassed. Yeah. He's literally skipping down the hallway. And if we want to turn in our Bibles to page 211, this part I underlined, and I was cackling. Like, I was high-pitched cackling. So this is like, he's like, you know, walking down the hall thinking about, you know, Selena, whatever. And he snorted, imagining what his father would think when he learned that Kale had taken Adderlin's assassin for a wife.
Like, it also feels like
so
she's almost a rebellion for him.
He is.
Like,
I mean, she is.
Like, he's rebelled obviously against his dad before, but like, this is like next step rebellion.
But it's not like that. I mean, it's a double whammy, you know, like, he loves her, but also it would piss everyone off.
He truly loves her. I think he does, for sure.
Yeah.
But like, I think like both him and Dorian don't really
know.
They don't know her, and they'll get those glances when she goes into assassin mode, and then like when she gets into that like feral mode after Nehemia dies, and they're like, oh, this is her, like, this is a part of her. And I think seeing that like part of her was eye-opening for both of them as well.
Yeah, like Kale didn't even want to touch her after that.
Yeah.
He was really staying away from her.
Yeah. It's especially an interesting dynamic for both Dorian and Kale, like, no matter which team you're on. I feel like they kind of put her in a box of what they see of her now and want her to be. Mm-hmm. And when she doesn't fit into that box, they get really upset and they don't know what to do with that. Mm-hmm. And it's like they just can't accept the fact that she's had this really not amazingly pure life previous to this. And so, like, I think that Kale doesn't know what to do with those feelings of like, well, I love this girl that I know here and now, but also not reconciling the fact that she has a past and it's not something that he morally would agree with.
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be even harder for Dorian, though, because Dorian is like literally hasn't seen like barely anything. He's just a wee precious little baby. Yeah, and then I mean, obviously, like, Kale has his position, even though he's not very good at it. But he's seen some things, okay? So I don't understand why he's so off-put by Selena. I understand, like, Dorian, but not so much Kale.
Yeah, I think Kale is kind of confusing for me, and that's why, like, I joke and I say I'm a Kale apologist because I really do like Kale. But I also just don't. He's so weird to navigate, I guess, with with Selena because, like you said, he has seen things. He has talked about like, oh, I've killed someone too.
Mm-hmm.
But he still doesn't he acts like I don't know how to explain it. Sometimes he just like acts like he's never seen those things or done those things, and he doesn't want to think of her doing that. And so he tries to like push it aside. And when it comes out, he gets really like on his moral high ground, and it kind of bothers me a little bit. But again, I still really like him. And I think that in this book, especially when you see them as a relationship dynamic, it's definitely much more chemistry and better than Dorian in the first one.
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Kale's hard to read.
Kale, I think it's interesting too because he is doing this, right? He finds out that heritage at the very, very end, with the name showing us what he really thinks. And in that last moment, he kind of has like an oh shit moment because he's like, oh damn, I messed up. I sent our literal like biggest enemy to like her biggest like
allies,
right? Because she's essentially going to her cousin's house. Like she's going to her auntie's to go and like, you know, I mean, I'm assuming she's gonna go and like do whatever, you know, she said to do with whatever for the king. But like really her plot is gonna be to go and like make alliances with her family, right?
Yeah.
And so I think it's just so interesting because we'll see kind of like in the next book how Kale deals with that. Like, is he going to stay true to Ardaland and like the king, or is he gonna work more for Selena and like now knowing how dangerous the word keys are and like kind of like what kind of evil can befall the land if like the king keeps like doing this evil plot? Like, is he gonna work more for her? You know, like, is he gonna stay on that moral high ground of like, oh, like, you know, that you're so much better than this killing and like you're so much better than, you know, XYZ blah blah blah? Or is he gonna kind of accept that like the literal fae woman that was like shown to him in that portal down below the library or whatever, like, is that, you know, also his friend Selena?
Yeah.
I think like pre-meeting Selena, he was very like when you look at like those like moral alignment charts, he is like lawfully good. Like pre this, he's like follows word of the law, like this is, you know, what I do X, Y, and Z, and that is the right and good thing to do. Or maybe even lawfully neutral, I would say. And then like as he's getting to know Selena and getting to know like, oh shit, the king isn't all that he's like made out to be, and there's like so much more going on in this world. Then I don't know where I was going with he's like breaking down those like thoughts, and I have a feeling his path is going to be complicated going forward as he's like just breaking down those notions. And like they're saying with the we don't really know what he thinks of her being fae and her being like Aelin. I think there's going to be a lot of like breaking down what his previous notions are of like magic and fae.
Yeah.
I feel like he's afraid of her now, which is like a weird dynamic to have with somebody that like you love. Because before he just saw her as like always getting into trouble and like maybe she couldn't defend herself as well as he could defend her. And then now it's like she's so much better than you in every way possible. And like he's scared of her, and like he is used to being probably like the domineering person in any type of relationship, like romantic or otherwise, and it's just like, oh no, like she could overpower me and I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, Kale's for sure not a feminist.
No.
No.
What were your guys' reactions to like the death of Nehemia and like how Selena reacts and treats Kale afterwards?
I mean, I was heartbroken when Nehemia died. I fully was crying and coughing. And
I knew that was the part you cried at.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, absolutely. I was definitely crying like in that moment, I also have some predictions for future books, but like that's a whole other thing. But my brain is all over the place. Yeah, no, that, and then like, I mean, I feel like in the moment I totally understand like where Selena was coming from, and like obviously your first reaction shouldn't be to murder someone, but like also knowing Selena is who she is, I wasn't surprised at all. Like, and I feel like Dorian and Kale seeing that side of Selena in that moment was very important to their relationship to her. Yeah.
Yeah. And let me just say, I did not care that Nehemia died, like at all. Like I was looking for a good stopping point at one point, and I didn't realize there were two parts, right? And I saw part 2, and I go, oh, and then I was like, what page is that? And on the bottom of that page, 230, Nehemia is dead, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I just went back and read like up to the point where we got to. I just I didn't really care.
I was ready for Nehemia and Dorian to start to have some sort of romantic entanglement.
Yeah, because they had like kind of like an understanding.
They had like a moment, and I was like, Nehemia's gonna start to like show him like magic.
Like, yeah, they're gonna have like a learning sequence. What the heck? Yeah,
he's gonna be like attracted to her.
I'm with you. It's like so interesting because I remember the first time I read this, I was sad about her death, but this second time I was like, was she even really like really super good friends with her? Like,
she found out like she had lied to her about so many things, and
I'm like, she lied to her about a lot, and she kind of manipulated her a little bit, and so like it's so interesting to see it as like a second read, kind of like with my eyes now, because I didn't drink the Nehemia juice this time around. And it's like obviously horrible what happened to her.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But also like for some reason I'm like, she really just like Nehemia's, it's chapter 25, I'm pretty sure. Nehemia's in there talking to Elena, and she's like, the prince isn't ready, so we've got to push her. And Elena's like, okay, girl, then
Oh, is that who those are?
Yeah. Yeah, that one page of
I had no idea what queen and princess it was. I was like, okay.
You're like,
I was figuring it was Elena, but I figured it was like some other princess in whatever.
No, it's okay. It's Elena, Nehemia's the princess, Dorian's the prince, and then the other person mentioned is just Selena.
Yeah.
Because she's saying, like, there's this part where Nehemia goes, she won't understand, and when she goes over the edge, there will be nothing to, like, pull her back. And that's her just alluding to the fact that, like, when she goes full fae, she's just going to, like, wreak havoc. Yeah. And that's what she says, like, when she kind of becomes fae down, with, Kale and Fleetfoot. She's like, I could have killed you and I wouldn't have known it because I'm crazy. Yeah. I don't know how to control it. I never learned how to do that because obviously I got taken away from my family when I was a kid. Yeah. So that whole part is just super interesting. But obviously we know that Nehemia is used as a plot device to like push Aelin past, a certain point, right? So now she knows that like she can turn into this fae, and she's got to figure out how to kind of like break the bond on the magic so that she can become like her full true self, powerful self.
But I did like the way that like I have a hard time grappling with it because obviously I love Kale, but the way that she really just tried to kill him I was like on the edge of my seat just wondering if she was actually going to kill him because I didn't know, obviously, and it was giving like PETA Mutt mode, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And that's like what she's saying. She's like, when I go fae, like I can't control it. And that's like it was the first glimpse that we as the audience got of that, right?
Yeah. But then you can see their dynamics also like kind of as a trio, because I mean she would have killed him right then and there if it weren't for Dorian using his magic to like stop it from happening.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's that whole scene, that whole like plot point, I think was served to like do a lot of things, you know, like show us Dorian's power, show us Selena being like a little fae, and then also kind of like being, you know, the twig that broke the haystack, whatever it is. Anyway, y'all know what I'm saying. It is crazy.
That broke the camel's back.
Yeah. Yeah, y'all know.
The reason that Nehemia's death made me react the way that it did was, I mean, I like Nehemia as a character, but I always am the person that's going to break down seeing a character grieve over somebody. So like for me, it was Selena's reaction and her inability to come back from it. Like she, throughout the rest of the book, after finding out that Nehemia died, like she could not come back from that. And so I think for me, that's like why it was so overwhelmingly emotional, because it's like, I don't know, we can all sort of put ourselves there, right? You can sort of put yourself in that moment of grief. And so every time somebody dies, I usually get more emotional at people's reactions to it. And the other thing I wanted to say is that when you were talking about her like going into her fae form and not remembering things and whatever, they kind of, without, I'm sure she meant to, because Sarah does everything on purpose, but like, isn't that basically the reason she got through in Endovir, is because of her fae abilities? That's like how she got to the gate without dying.
Yeah. Yes.
So they kind of.
It's like it's like she's pick me girl at first, and then you're like, oh wait, she's like actually the chosen one. So like she is pick me and she is chosen. But it's literally she's like,
not like other girls.
Like she's literally not like other girls.
Literally.
And so, you know, we're all like trashing her because we're like, she's just an 18-year-old little stick skinny girl. But like, no, actually, she like kind of can't die because she's like a fae. So like, there's that. You know what I mean? But she also like talks about her temper a lot in the first book, and kind of like her having, what does she say with Arabin, the killing calm, where like she just like hyper focuses and she's like, I'm gonna see red and like just like kill everything.
Well,
that's such an interesting like a plot point for fae, like as like that character, I guess, because it's so kind of different than it's a little bit different than other fae that Sarah J likes to write about. You know what I mean? So like these fae are like the bloodthirsty kind of like, I'm gonna mess you up, you know? And I like those kind of fae. So I think that's why I like this one a little bit better. Anyway, what were we gonna say?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I also sorry. No, go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was like, speaking of future things that we aren't really gonna talk about, but like Nehemia's death and like the reaction and some other things reminds me of a future book that we won't get to for a very long time. But there's there's a lot of things that it reminds me of, and I'm just wondering if it's related, and I guess we'll see in the future when we get to said book.
I feel like the lady with all the like math equations.
I know. That was so like me trying to be vague while also like.
Well, we know that this series was written before the other ones, and like this series is basically setting up this whole entire world where like you can travel from like world to world, right? So we can talk about like the word keys and kind of like that kind of magical plot point aspects or whatever. But essentially we're breaking it down in this book. We've got these 3 word keys that you can use to open up a magical portal that can transport you to different lands. And without the keys, you can also kind of open up these portals, but only for like a short amount of time, because that's when we saw Selena fight that kind of like, what was it, like wrinkly skinned demon thing down, you know, in the dungeon. And
it was like a man, but not a man.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's like, you know, she's fighting that. Fleetfoot almost gets taken, which I thought was the part that you were crying at, the dog part. Sarah? No. Oh, just kidding. F the dog. Anyway, I was like,
no, I don't mean that. I'm just like, I was like,
that was the part I was worried about. I was like, if this dog doesn't survive this book, because I couldn't remember. I was like, is the dog alive? I have no idea. So I was freaking out. But like, you know, Fleetfoot gets taken back because the thing's gonna eat her or whatever. Kale goes in, grabs her, blah, 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 blah. So we figure out that those portals can stay open for a little bit, but then the word keys can do other things besides the portals. They can like change, because there's also the monster that was like killing everybody in the first book, right? And so they were like, oh, we never found him, but like the killings just stopped, so we thought it was fine. And it's like, no, we need to probably find that thing. I don't know.
I found myself getting most frustrated at that part where she was like opening all the portals and stuff, because like when I read, I don't picture anything. So it was very hard for me to like picture the doors and like counting them and then going through every single one that she unlocked. And she said it was like shaped in a certain way, and I just could not picture any of it. So I was getting really confused, and I was like, okay, they're running through things and like they're trying to not be killed by this creature.
So she's essentially like, to like talk it out, she's essentially trying to go down these stairs in a spiral, and like as she's going through the spiral, she's seeing these doors, she's unlocking these doors. I actually don't know why she started unlocking them, to be fair. I don't know if I would do that if I went into a crazy spiral basement.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, so she starts unlocking the doors, and then as she like kind of like spirals up, she realizes that like she's in the clock tower, right? That we saw from the first book with the gargoyles.
Yeah, I had to read that part twice because I was like, how did you get to the clock? Like, I was so confused.
It's basically just like a long pathway, but like it's, if you can imagine it, the castle essentially has secret passageways. She's taking this one secret passageway out of her room to all of these other places that apparently no one knew about. You know, Kale walks in and he's like, what the heck is this? You know? So yeah, but then as she's like traveling through, she realizes that the glittering obsidian that's like surrounding her is the same kind of material that
the rings.
Yeah, that the guys are wearing. You know, throughout the book, you've got the king who has one, Roland, who is Dorian's cousin, Parrington, and then Duke Parrington, and then of course from the first book we've got Caltaine and we've got Kane, which is later revealed that like Caltaine, I thought this part was so interesting, but she's apparently from like this very long line of like magical people, right? And then Kane is from like the magical mountains where like all these shamans lived. So and that, if anybody's like looking to reference that, is on page 349. But yeah, so like everyone who kind of has one of these rings is a magical being of some sort. Like they've got magic in their blood. And obviously we know Roland probably has magic because the king has magic. He's part of the royal family, you know, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So where was I going with that?
Like her with the sword too, and like the chalk, like the dusting of the chalk and seeing the words. I was like,
oh yeah, that part is hard to kind of comprehend, but essentially she just is figuring out the word keys. My point, there we go, we're rounding it out, everybody. My point is, obviously Sarah J. Maas is setting it up so that they can travel through worlds, because we've got obviously Throne of Glass, Court of Thorns and Roses, and then House of Crescent City is what we're going to say there.
Crescent City.
Yep, that's what we're going to say there. So yeah, I think it's really interesting. Obviously, as we go through the series, we'll see what happens with the word keys and like more of the magic system. But it's probably one of my favorite parts so far, because I love the magic. I'm loving it. And I'm loving that Selena is now going to like a magical place, because she's going to where her aunt is, Maeve. And like they're literally fae, you know what I mean? So like they've got their own crazy stuff going on. Why did the king send her there? Because he doesn't know, I guess. I guess he's stupid. You know, he doesn't know that she's Aelin. Whatever.
No, but I was sad that Kale's not going to go with her, because when he pitched it and then Dorian was so upset, I was like, oh, you jealous? And then I was like, oh, wait, Kale's not going. I'm sad.
No.
Yeah. But we all have to realize, you know, there's like eight books, so.
There's so many books.
Yes. A lot can literally happen.
There's
That's why I'm like, there's no way that Kale.
There's almost 4,000 more pages for us to read.
A lot.
4,000, and the last book is 1,000 of those pages. So you know.
Yeah, the last book is gonna be such a fun time.
That's gonna be a doozy. I won't be able to do that one in one day.
Probably not.
And please
Yeah, maybe
someone
plan ahead
remind
for that
me.
one.
Yeah, please someone remind me about that one.
Like at least please.
As if we don't have a graphic that says the dates that you read it.
And like breaks it down.
Fine.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what we want to talk about next, sort of. One of the
did Mort the doorknob remind anyone of Alice in Wonderland?
Oh, 100%.
Like that whole thing, I was like, Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
And then it didn't help that then Sarah was reading Unhinged.
I was literally about to say, now it's ruined for me forever. Like, because reading this and then I was reading Unhinged, the erotic door romance, right? And like, he is a sentient door. Like, he doesn't speak as a door, but like he has inner monologue and stuff. And I'm just like, I can't look at Mort the same.
I was reading that, and then I look up and you're reading Unhinged, and I was like, I can't think about this too.
That is so true that in the audiobook, Mort has a weird Brooklyn accent.
He does. He has a weird Brooklyn accent.
And I was like, aren't we in the ye olden days? Like, why would he have a Brooklyn accent of all things?
So funny. No, I straight up was like, is this now becoming... Well, and there was like a whole labyrinth thing and like doors and looking through keyholes, and I was like, this is Alice in Wonderland.
I gotta pull inspiration from somewhere.
The first one was Cinderella. This one is Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it reminded me of another like book series where like the door talks, and I'm like, it's probably all just like the same. It bothered me that in the audiobook Mort had a weird Brooklyn like accent. Yeah. He was funny though. Like me listening to the audiobook, I was cackling. I'm like, oh, Mort, you're kind of hilarious.
He's like, you're not giving me the answers, and he's like, well, you're not asking the right questions.
Yeah,
that would be sass.
I hate when that's a plot line, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I hate when there's like a riddle, and then they have to go back to that plot line like 15,000 times before they figure out what the riddle is. Like, I think she actually figured out the anagram situation pretty quickly, but like her getting there, I'm like, just quit it. Just quit it. You know what I mean?
Well, and that was like with Baba Yellowlegs, which I also can't take seriously. But Baba Yellowlegs, I liked that there was like a carnival type thing, but I wanted more of it. I felt the same way about the carnival as I did about the the competition in the first book, where I was like, this feels like it's just kind of a convenient little thing to throw in there, but like it's not well utilized, honestly. And I wanted more of like that carnival. Yeah, I agree. But I felt like they barely went to the carnival. They mostly just saw Baba Yellowlegs.
No, yeah, they just went. It was just there to be like a traveling, you know.
Yeah.
And like Selena needed information from her because like Dorian had asked about like his magic abilities and all that.
Yeah.
Like, for the right price, I'll tell you what he asked me.
I know. And she was like, I liked
like for this old.
No, go.
Oh, I was gonna say for this like ancient wise woman, kind of stupid for doing that. Especially with Selena, like of all people.
Well, that's the thing. It's like the witches are interesting. They're very interesting.
Don't you know that Selena is gonna Saleya?
Saleya? Good one. Freaking dork. She does mention though that Kale is he like smells of the Silver Lake. So like I am seeing a theme of silver with him.
Silver?
I mean, and like literally when they're doing the dinner scene and she's planned this cute, you know, birthday dinner for him, whatever. You know, again, his eyes
so
like described as being silver. Like
it was so good. Oh my god.
The dress that she was wearing when she's like on her little tirade.
Yep. It was a beautiful.
Also, their whole like
is the dress.
Their whole like sexy times too is so like YA.
Also,
yeah,
because like, and then skin on skin, and then we were no longer apart, and then the next morning, and I was like, it's a young adult book. I love it.
She didn't know what to do.
Also, him bringing her the chocolate cake.
The chocolate cake.
I will say, I do love this about Selena. Like, she really does eat food. Like, she is constantly eating, and I'm like, my girl.
And it talks about her period.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's right. She is never without some food. And the chocolate cake, I'm like, I think I love you. I think I'm the same. A plot point that I did want to bring up, actually, I don't know if you guys like noticed this or know anything about it. But on page 242, Kaltain is down in the dungeons, and she's talking to Selena, and she says, "My dreams have been filled with shadows and wings."
Oh yeah, the wings, which Nehemia also.
That's like,
Oh, shadows and wings.
Shadows
and wings.
Yes, everyone.
Could this be?
Could it be? And this is the thing. This is why this stands out to me, because obviously I've read ACOTAR, right?
Oh, I was like, what are we all like gasping about? I was like, shadows and wings. What about it? I don't know.
I'm so sorry, Sarah.
You know, shadows and wings. It's this thing that Kaltain has seen, Dorian has seen, Nehemia has seen, and Selena literally asks on this page, she's like, what has one to do with the other? Like, why are they seeing this? And then the plot point literally just, I've never heard it mentioned again after this point. Like, I literally marked it and I was like, all right, let's go. Shadow and wings, let's go. And then like nothing happens.
I'm gonna look this up really quick. I'm curious about publication dates.
Kaltain kind of just confuses me in general, because then she says like she's gonna be married off, but I'm confused on if it was like Duke Parrington that she was supposed to be married to, or the king.
Yeah,
it's Duke Parrington. Yeah,
but like, doesn't he already have a chick?
No,
that's his chick. Duke Parrington's chick.
No, I know, but they started talking about something else. I don't know. It just confused me. But I was like, there's no way the king wants Kaltain.
No. She's being sent to Duke Parrington. They were supposed to get married, and then she did what she did, but like because of him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, so like the creature in the dungeon thingy that they like fight, that's. Well, so there's two different creatures, because there's a creature that Selena finds in the spiral dungeon-y thingy. My great description there.
Lisa probably just like answered it for us all.
The king is thinking about the shadow. Oh yeah, something needs to.
Wyvern.
He said something needs riders, right?
Yes.
The king.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm like,
why does everything start with W?
Wyverns.
Wyverns, word marks.
Women.
And they're all, it's like women.
Anyway, sorry, Catherine, what were you saying?
So that creature thing, that her and Dorian fight, it's like, it's alluded to that may have been human, and is the result of whatever manipulation Duke Parrington and the king are doing to Kaltain and what's his name, right?
Yes.
Roland.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting with Roland.
Yeah, I think they kind of alluded to this in the first book, but they're essentially saying they can control people with magic or siphon their magic. Like those are the two options. I'm not sure which one they're doing, but like the king is very powerful. Like if Dorian has raw magic, that means he's getting it from obviously the king's bloodline. And so he's there's like a part on page 400 where he says he sensed it in his sleep, a sudden shift in the world. That's him sensing that the door opened for the portal of the world. You know what I mean? So the fact that he can like sense that, it just means that he's like on a whole, like no one's at his level really magically right now.
They did say that, the king, the king has one of these keys, right? So what he did was he eradicated all magic except for him, which would in turn like pass down to his son also. So like obviously they're not like other boys.
Powers are still there.
Yeah.
I think they said that he probably has two of them because it takes a lot of magic to get rid of magic, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, because if he had all three, like, there's no way.
Yeah, he's still searching for the third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. But also, while he's doing that, he's building an army in the Farian Gap, you know, and he's making something. He's experimenting, which is what they said in the last book. You know, they were like, our experiments, you know. So I'm assuming, obviously, we'll see more of that in the next coming books.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any other plot points that we should definitely 100% talk about.
Can I make a Twilight reference real quick?
Yeah, 100%.
Yes.
So, like, when she's just so depressed and all she does is, like...
sit and stare at the fire, we all
I was
believe there's a possibility.
Yeah.
That was playing in my head during that whole
100%. Me too.
That's right.
That's
right.
it.
Everything is Twilight.
Truly, you can find it anywhere.
Yeah.
Can I talk about predictions?
Yeah, let's go ahead and go into that because I'm trying to see if there's like anything important that we should say, but I feel like predictions will be a good. Let's go. Let's hit it.
Let's go.
I will say, well, so I don't even know if I have like specific predictions.
Okay.
But just like things I'm going to be interested in seeing. Like, so I'm really interested in Dorian learning how to control his magic. And I feel like at some point there is just going to be like full on uprising, him versus his father. And I can't wait to see that like battle. Because I like there has to be some sort of big battle between the two of them, and him being like, surprise, I also have magic now.
Bitch.
Surprise. Yeah, and then with like Selena, I don't with the next book, I'm very curious how it's going to be set up because like Selena's going to be in like a totally different place, at least for part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So like kind of seeing what it's like in that whatever kingdom and going back to where like Kale is like trying to learn about these word keys or whatever they're called, and Dorian figuring out his magic. I'm curious how that is going to flow in the next book. Because flow hasn't been always the best in this, like for this one going from POV to POV. So I don't know.
I agree. Only time will tell. I do remember liking the next one a lot.
That's good.
You know, I don't know if it's a lot of people's favorites, but I think a lot of people might think it's a little boring, but
well,
which one is this one?
Katie said Selena's in her new moon era in the next book.
Oh God.
Yeah. Really is.
I don't know
if I can do that one.
I will say that since I've already read the third book for the second time, I think the pacing is rough in it.
It's a lot slower, I think.
It's not.
Oh, this one is Air of Fire. Okay, that's what I've. Yeah.
But it's not for me. It wasn't even about being slow. It was that I think this is the first time that she tried to put in a lot of POVs, and it's jarring. So I'll just warn you.
See, I think there's already too many POVs.
I just don't like POVs. It's never like, oh, Selena, and then it starts. Like, I want to know whose POV
who it is.
Like, it's just, that's never happened before. Like, normally it'll
or it,
have
like
the character
random
name.
Yeah, or randomly changing mid chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Like
No,
I don't like that.
That's like a writing style like Frank Herbert does that with Dune. Or he does that with Dune where like the POV will literally change mid-chapter and you have no idea who it is.
Oh my god,
And,
I can't do that thing I
on a
normally
reread
do.
it's fine. Huh?
I can't do that thing I normally do where I go, oh, you mean this book?
Oh, you mean this book?
I'm
Dude.
so sad. Okay.
Pretend. But yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a choice. Reading it for the first time through, I think it's very annoying. But on the reread, it's not as bad, I think.
I just like don't like the random POVs.
It's very random.
And like it feels like some of the random ones, like the one where it was like the queen, the princess, like it was thrown in at such a random point.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's not as intentional of where those like POV changes are and where we'll randomly see. I think there was like one with Caltaine again, but it was like just one. I feel the King's one made sense at the end. I felt like having that one only the one time at the very end. But yeah, even with the switches between Dorian, Selena, and Kale, it was like just so random when it would decide to switch. And I'm just like, I need a little more intention.
Yeah, I think theirs are hard because they're all together too. So it's like, why even have those POVs when you can have one person POV with them and then you can have, another one. But I think this is the book where, like you said, like they're not all together. So like they've got more space and like, things start to kind of.
Yeah.
I think, if I remember right, because they're apart, like I don't remember it changing too much mid-chapter, but I'm not reliable with that because I actually don't mind POV changes like that. Just like Katie said, Robin Hobb does that, so it doesn't really bother me. But I think that because there are more POVs in here than we've had previously that are actually like dominant POVs, it's not just like random ones, that it was like her first time trying to write or juggle a lot of dominant POVs rather than just the three. And you could even argue that like not even all three of those are dominant. It felt like the pacing was just a little bit off in the third one for me, but there are a lot of characters that you get to know that I like a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see.
Yeah.
I agree. Some of my favorite characters are coming up literally in this next book. So, and I think it's safe to say, like, obviously she's going to this other place. So she is going to like basically see her cousin Adian, Ash River. He's going to be there. That's a fun time for me personally. Obviously we've got Maeve, who is the queen. So that's going to be a whole nother ball game. And then we're going to see more of these witches. I'm telling y'all right now, we're going to see the witches. They're not going to be happy that old Baba Mama Yellowlegs got murdered, okay? And these witches, like, I don't know how to explain to y'all, but they are crazy. They are literally crazy. Like, the way Selena acted like a feral animal, it's like you got mixed with fae and then demons. Like, that's your lineage. That's where you come from, okay? So these women, they are crazy. They're cuckoo bananas. So I'm ready for that. It's going to be a fun time. But yeah. Sarah, do you have any predictions that you want to get out before the end of this shebang?
Not really.
Okay. Whatever. There's a prediction for you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do we finally get to meet Rowan in this one?
I was talking about earlier, but I didn't want to name him.
Because that's who everyone talks about.
Yeah.
Wait, Sarah,
I feel like
you cry.
Yeah. Can we go back to that? That's what I was going to go.
Wait, but like, there's so many things we didn't really talk about.
We're not done. I'm just wondering if you cried.
I'm like, I mean, literally, I have no intellectual abilities, okay? These tabs, right? I have blue for plot things. Literally, that's it. Plot things. I'm like, maybe I'll need to know this later on. Anytime any important info is dropped, I put blue tabs. The purple tabs are romance things, okay? That's all I cared about. I did not care about anything else. It was
okay, but when did you cry, Sarah?
And then like this, I was like, I'm listening. Okay, so all I care about is that I think my prediction is Selena and Kale aren't endgame. Kale is gonna die probably, and I'm going to die along with him. That's my prediction.
If Kale dies, I die.
Literally,
Wait,
I
you
said that
cried?
out loud.
You
As I was
cried when
reading,
he went to
I said
dinner?
What?
You cried when they went to dinner?
No.
Oh, when did you
When
cry?
did they cry? When did you cry?
I cried when he said I love you.
Aww.
And she didn't say it back. It made me so sad.
What a loser.
Sarah, I love you so much.
Literally leaving. You're like, that was anticlimactic, but
in her defense, she
That's
did
so
say
cute.
don't. She was like, don't say it. I'm about to leave, boy. So she did say that. You know what I mean?
but it killed me.
Also,
I know. And this is like,
okay, I will say that I love you. I'm sorry. That is a little, that's like, my heart.
it's rough. It's
Because
rough.
she's like, well, she's apologizing because she's like, you're about to find out this thing about me. And it's
Yeah.
going to like, you have all these ideas and all these notions about me. And this is
I'm
going to
not that
totally,
girl.
Well, he's
It's
like, how
totally gonna
much can I take? Because I thought you were this way, and now I'm thinking of you this way, and now I'm gonna think about you in a whole different way.
yeah.
Yeah. I think the beauty of it is that like they all love each other in some way, you know what I mean? They just don't know everything about each other. Like they just became friends like a month ago, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's the point.
Oh,
So,
and I did kind of tear up though when like she found out that when he found out that she left all of her like riches to him.
Oh, yeah.
she's a homie. Okay, they are friends. She's like,
Yeah.
look, I might hate you, but I get it. You're gonna be poor when you leave the king, okay? Because I know you
Yeah.
ain't staying, boy. Let's be real. So I think I love her character so much because like in the beginning you just think that she's such an idiot, like 18-year-old, just like whatever. But like I think she really is such a smart character and such a strong character. Even though of course this whole book Nehemia like it's running through her brain because Nehemia is like, you're a coward, and like that's the last thing she said to her, and then left and then got murdered, you know. So
One of
that
the
whole
go on.
I was just gonna say that whole thing is so strong, I guess, because Selena ends up going to her grave in the end and being like, look, I know I'm a coward and I'm gonna admit that. Like, I'm self-aware, I know that about myself, but like I'm gonna be better for you and like for your people, and I swear to you that I'm gonna free these people. And like there's something about Selena's just like character that like resonates in my core being, because I feel like I would want to be like that, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I am freaking scared. I went downstairs and I fought this little wrinkly papered, you know, shriveled up man who had no face. Okay, that was scary. But my cat, aka Fleetfoot, you know, is down there, so I gotta go get him because I'm not leaving him, you know. So it's just like I resonate with that character a lot. But yeah, I don't know why I went on that rant. Maybe just because I like Selena a lot. Anywho,
I like Selena. The moment I was gonna say this before when you were talking about the Fae instincts and it makes her like kind of sort of black out to everything else. The moment that she realizes Nehemia is gonna die or is dead, and she just fucking books it.
runs.
Yeah.
Flying her way up a wall. When she gets there, she's like bloodied. Just like that gave me so many chills. Like that whole scene of her just, I don't even know how to explain it. I don't have words for it, but it lives in my brain rent free.
Yeah, like Kale literally says, he's like talking to Dorian and he's like, I literally got on a horse seconds after she left and she still beat me here. Like, who does that? He's like, who does that? And we're like, a Fae does. A
Fae does.
So,
can I read? I found this quote that I highlighted that I'd forgotten about. That's like literally at the very beginning of the book. Don't ask me for a page because in my book it's page 500. But it's Kale saying he's he'd been realizing it more and more recently, how much he hated it when she left him behind.
And that's what she did at the end of this book.
End of the book.
Don't even do that to me. I'm gonna start crying.
That's the thing, y'all. We got foreshadowing upon foreshadowing. I'm telling you, reading these books, pay attention to that foreshadowing. She doesn't do anything half okay? Like, she literally will tell you what is going to happen in these books. There was something else I was going to say, but I forgot because I got so hyped about that. Her leaving them behind. I don't know. I think it's the start of a wonderful found family trope. You know, they're really, at the core being, all these characters do have a good heart. Obviously, they're not all the same character. They deal with things differently. They all have different experiences. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a wonderful thing. There's some other characters that, you know, me having read it all before, I didn't realize they got mentioned this early in the series. So, like, there are a couple characters that got mentioned in this book, and I was like, shut the front door. Y'all are already talking about so-and-so. So we'll get to that later on. But yeah, I mean, I had high hopes for Archer. I remember that when I first read it, I was like, oh, Archer might be a homie. He might be cool. And then he ends up being obviously a rat.
The worst.
Yeah, he's the worst. He set up Nehemia, and like, he's part of this like rebel faction that is supposed to be doing good. And because she's, you know, not liking the way it's going, like whatever, they end up obviously setting her up and killing her, which is horrible. But
yeah,
that was sad.
I mean, anytime anyone comes in the picture and makes my man Kale jealous, I'm not gonna like them. Okay, so I didn't like Archer from the very first second that I met him. I knew he was fishy, and that's all I have to say about that.
I can't wait for you. I can't wait for you. Okay, this actually, reading this again, there is that random chapter. Where is that? I don't know.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, basically there's a slave that goes buck wild.
Well, but then later the king alludes to there being an uprising at that
there we go.
place.
That's what that is. That's exactly what that is.
Yeah. So I don't know if like that particular slave. Well, I think I thought that was.
I think she does die at the end of that.
Yeah, she's like she says her list of her dead and then adds herself to the end as she like cuts him with the axe, which I'm like, damn, that's kind of badass. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the king is like there's currently like an uprising at that place.
Yeah, I think it's Calcutta, and I think that's where Duke Parrington actually went because he's supposed to take care of the uprising.
Yeah,
and that's what Caltaine is. And another interesting kind of plot point with our man Kale, with y'all's man Kale, let me say it, is that he makes a deal with his dad, and he's like, if I go in and I send Selena away, I'm gonna, you know, talk about that. Oh, 248 is the page for the mines in Calicola. Just so in case anybody was wondering where that was. It's chapter 33. But anyway, he goes in, he talks to his dad, and he's like, yo, Dad, if you support me in this, I will come back and I will be the head of the household again. Like, I'll be the Lord, you know, of whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't even know his title. I'm so sorry. I'm disrespecting this man.
He's Lord of wherever.
Yeah, he's Lord of somewhere in such and such. The Silver Lake. Don't ask
me the name of any place.
I really can barely. I know Terracin because that's where she's from, and then I know the salt mines. And
I recognize it when I see it on page,
right?
But like I cannot.
The witches are in the wastelands. I know that anyway.
No clue.
And then Nehemia is from LA. But yeah, so I think that plot line is gonna come.
Katie knows her shit. Okay.
There you go. Katie's like, yes.
I'm glad someone knows what they're talking about.
That's right. But yeah, that's where he's from. Aniel. I'm not even gonna pretend like I can say it.
Ooh.
Oh,
sorry.
what?
No. were you in the middle of?
No, I'm just
okay.
I'm rambling.
I'm just reading. I'm reading through all of my highlights now. I had highlighted if the heir of Teresian, Aelin, whatever the last name is, I cannot pronounce that for the life of me, had lived, would she have become a friend, an ally, his bride, perhaps? I thought that was interesting for Dorian to mention.
It is. And it's crazy because he literally remembers meeting them. Like he remembers meeting her.
But like when she was like 7.
Yeah, of course. But like it's just funny because like little does he know she's there. And I love that. I like that part too because he's talking about her cousin. And like her cousin is like one of my favorite characters, low-key. So he's talking about her cousin and he's like, oh yeah, he would probably be like the head of the guard because he was just like so, he was like a baddie and like he's so tough and like blah 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 blah. So I don't know. Dorian is, bless his heart, he wants love so bad.
He does. Well, I did like get a little for him when he's in this part. So Dorian closed his eyes, took another long breath, and when he opened his eyes, he let her go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he's maturing. I'm telling y'all, his arc is beautiful in this series.
Sarah's like,
I'm just telling you, anytime he was on page, like I didn't care what he said. I was like, you gave me the ick. I cannot escape it, and that's that. And then there's one scene that made me laugh where Selena was like, "Oh, I see him." Oh my god, I gotta get it word for word. It's on page 345, right? She said, because they're like alone together.
Oh no.
Dorian appeared in a new tunic and pants, still barefoot. The side of his feet felt strangely intimate.
Not the feet.
Not the free feet pics.
Ugh. It just made me laugh
I hate
hard.
So much. Ugh.
She's feeling things. Dorian, everybody is going to be taken care of, okay?
Except
everybody is going to be taken care of.
Sarah, do you think you could like Dorian?
No.
I hope you can. Because
I mean, I feel like we're in it for the long haul. Like, I don't think he's going to die.
Sarah, I hate to say it. I don't mean to sound rude, but I think you're going to like him.
I don't think so.
Because of something else. And that's all I'm going to say.
I will not be forced into liking him.
I feel like the first book had better bantery moments.
I guess between Dorian and Selena, but like I didn't care at all.
Yeah, like that's the thing. That's kind of why I was like, what the heck? Because in this book, obviously she basically was like, I don't want to be with anybody. I want to be free. And then got with Kale. And I'm like, this doesn't make no sense. This doesn't make
like everyone saw it. And even Dorian said like he knew, obviously.
I mean, because Sarah J. Maas is writing that in the book, Sarah. But from the context of the first book, we all know what we saw. So I do have to say that is something that annoys me. Because I don't like it when she does the flippity flip on love interest. I'm like, girl, just quit.
There was no flip. It was always Kale. Okay.
Wasn't like I say this as a Kale girly. There was a flippy flip.
There was no flip.
It's just the fact that she literally was like, I'm gonna work on me, and then literally 1 week later, she's like, I'm gonna sleep with Kale. Like whatever. She's a teenager, so she does teenage things. Whatever.
I'm dying. I can't. I am so interested to see what Sarah thinks of characters in the future. Like,
I know! I'm scared. I'm nervous.
Especially, okay, I can't wait for the next book discussion.
I know!
You're making me so...
It's literally like, you can't make me like Dorian. And I'm like, sweetie, I'm going to tell you, okay, Kale was up here for me. And then as the series progresses, he just slowly just goes down.
Oh, no.
And no, that's just a me thing, though. He just annoys me. Like, I just don't. I'm not his.
That is not a you thing. That's a pretty big consensus, especially because of Tower of Dawn. We all know how that was received.
He's unwell. He is unwell, but it's okay.
So nervous.
Yeah, but it's
Me
okay. We're gonna all
too.
go through it together. I say this every time, but like I read this so long ago, I kind of forgot like the details. Like I know the major plots, obviously, but like I forget the details of like the characters and like the little things that happens. So I'm excited. I'm so excited to get into this next one because I remember really loving Air of Fire, even though I know it is a slow one.
I am so confused though how Selena like was so forgiving to a lot of people. Like she is this powerful boss ass bitch. I was gonna say witch, but I was like, I don't want that to be like
misconstrued. Yeah.
Yeah. But like there's certain people that she definitely like could have and should have killed at the time, and then she just didn't. And I was like, why didn't you take that opportunity? I mean, especially in the beginning when she like was bringing the heads of like just, you know, people that nobody cared about, and it wasn't actually the people that she was sent to kill. And then like even with Grave, I was like, why would you spare these people? Like you're supposed to be this hot-blooded assassin, and like you spare people that like it might ruffle some feathers, but you're just supposed to be seeing red and like blah. It just doesn't. It was very wish-washy for me.
The people at the beginning made sense to me why she was sparing them, because she didn't trust the king and his motivations of like why she wanted them or why he wanted them dead. When it like finally got down to like the end with like Archer, yeah, I was like, why just do it?
Yeah, like why spare him?
And I know part of it is like to protect her soul or whatever, and you can't kill that many people. But like I felt like with like Archer and with like Grave, I was like, you can kill those ones at the end.
I think it just
like, you don't owe them anything.
But I think it goes back to her character. Like she doesn't want to be a killer. You know what I mean? Like she kills because she like has to, right? Like she's an assassin because she had to be. I don't know. I'm doing this. She did have to be. Okay.
But they did give her motivation. It wasn't like just willy-nilly killing. Like it wasn't for someone else. Like they wronged her. So
I know, but I think she's trying to be better. Like in that moment before, because obviously she does kill him. But like in that moment before, she is thinking, she's like, Nehemia is the voice inside of my head saying, be better than this. Like you don't have to kill this person if you don't have to, you know, blah, blah, blah. But then again, her temper kind of goes off because he's looking so smug. And that it like shows her true nature. You know what I mean? Like she's trying to be these are the things that make it from a YA to a new adult to an adult. But like you make these decisions in the moment, and then you have to deal with the repercussions. And in this moment, she's like, I don't want to be a murderer, right? But then she is. Like she is a murderer.
But then you're willing to kill the love of your life? And not so willing to kill
she wasn't like thinking in that
we already talked about that. That's like a animal instinct. That's like a feral instinct.
Yeah.
Like she was like so far removed from herself in that moment, and she thanked Dorian for stopping her from doing that, because she was like, I would have killed him. I would have killed, like, if you hadn't done that, I would have killed him. I would have killed you. I would have killed everyone in that room.
It's literally like her as an assassin. Like she would just kill everybody, and they'd be like, how'd you do that, you little crazy 16-year-old, you know, crazy. But it's obviously because
18.
Yeah, well, Arabin knew of her lineage. Like that's talked about with Archer. That's talked about with Archer, because Archer's like, oh, Arabin told me who you are. And at first she's like, what? You know, who? What? Knowing good and well who she is the whole time, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
I really did think she wasn't gonna kill him like at the last second though. And he was like, he.
No. Whenever you're acting, first of all, when you win, you gotta let the win go, okay? You can't be acting smug right then and there.
Like, if he wouldn't have said something like that, do you think she would have just still let him go?
I think she would have, because she did that literally earlier on.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, if he didn't run his mouth, I feel like.
Yeah, it's the temper. Yeah. It's literally like her little temper is just like it snaps. You know what I mean? So that's like an interesting thing that you're talking about, because I think going forward, like she has to learn how to control that and how to hone that into something that is more of like a leadership, quality. You know what I mean? Because you can't just be snapping on people in the middle of, an argument or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, and now like it seems like her powers are maybe becoming a little more loose. I don't know. But she's got to figure out how to kind of deal with that. And I think when she goes to this different land, like obviously they're not going to have the same controls over like where magic is and stuff like that. So,
I mean, I'm just excited to see her probably happier, quote unquote, like being with her people and like not feeling so alone. Because she does talk about that, like after losing Nehemia. Well, she talks about it multiple times, but like on page 241, but death was her curse and her gift, and death had been her good friend these long, long years. And then also on page 297, it was hard to care, she realized, as she started the trek back to the castle, incredibly hard to care when you didn't have anyone left to care about.
Yeah. Even if she's running.
She's gonna like thrive being with like allies.
And making her little found family. I'm telling you. She's getting some homies for life, okay? Not just like Dorian and Kale. But yeah, I mean, she even says that when she's like running to go try and save Nehemia, she's even saying like in her head, like not again, not again, not again, not again. Like she's just repeating. Yeah. Because she's already lost like so many people, like, starting with her parents and then, the other people. Yeah. That are mentioned in Assassin's Blade.
And kind of like Steph was saying, like it was more about like surrounding Nehemia's death, like how Selena reacts to it. That was like the more heartbreaking part. But like me personally, I didn't care so much that Nehemia had died. It was just like the way that it moved everything along and like how Selena reacted to it.
It was a catalyst for her. Yeah,
for sure.
Like become, which is what Nehemia was saying. She was like, I have to do this to push her over the edge, which is crazy. But I mean, she's not wrong.
I don't think I realized in the first read that Nehemia, like, she sacrificed herself for this. I really thought that she just died in the first one, like by the king's, not hand, but like his doing. And I didn't realize really how heavily involved she was until this read.
Yeah,
it's like, wow. Okay.
Like she was literally ahead of the rebel faction, basically.
Yeah.
And like organizing all of that. And I think honestly, like that chapter 25, the like one page where she's talking to Elena, I really don't think that she, like Sarah J. Maas should have made that so secretive. Like I think using the names of everyone is fine, because this whole time she had been like revealing all of the stuff anyway. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like some big like secret, you know what I mean? Like that, I think that would have kind of helped us be like, oh, Nehemia is doing this like because she feels like she has to, you know what I mean? So yeah. Or like she wants to save, I think what it says in the book is she doesn't want to just save her country. She wants to save like the world, like help save the world, because she knows if she doesn't get Selena on the right path, like they're going too slow, essentially. She needs to make some more badass friends that don't die so easily. I agree.
But then it's a double-edged sword though, because the more people that like she brings into her inner circle, the more people she has to protect, and like the more people that like are trying to go against her will then kill them because she cares about them.
That's right, Sarah.
Yeah.
She can't care about everybody, but she does.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so good, because there is definitely some crazy moments that happen in this series. I can't wait for us to all cry together. I'm
excited to meet some characters, because I've seen some other characters alluded to in like various posts. And now I like actually have to actively avoid spoilers, because before when I saw spoilers and I had no context, I was like, whatever, I don't care. But now that I'm actually reading the series, I have to actively avoid class spoilers, which is rough. I didn't realize how many there are.
There are a lot of them, especially if you talk about it close to your phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Honestly, I don't think anything would ruin anything for me. That was a weird way to word it. Except for like one thing. Like if that thing happened, I would be very upset if I knew it beforehand. But everything else
dies.
Yeah.
But everything else, like if I were spoiled for certain things, like I don't think I would care.
I'm hoping you don't get spoiled for anything like major.
I don't I'm someone who's like, no, I don't want to know anything.
I agree. That's why I literally don't know anything about Crescent City. I'm like, don't tell me anything.
I don't know if I told y'all that they didn't put like that their vlog was spoilery. They just like put up a vlog for the second one because I had already read the first one and I was just curious if I wanted to read the second one. They spoiled the whole ending.
I spoiled something for myself with the second one because I got a special edition and it contained artwork.
Shut up. That is...
Yeah. That was rough.
So I'm like very nervous now.
Just stay off the internet, guys.
I'm excited for you, Christine. I already know which character is going to be your favorite.
I think I do too, just based off of the artwork that I've seen, but we'll see.
But for me, it's so freaking hard because, like I was saying earlier, I have a hard time like picturing things, and that goes with like character descriptions also. So I'll look up fan art for things so I can picture what they look like. But a lot of the fan art, especially for like
labeling spoilers.
Yeah, for this series, like especially, or just any Sarah J. Maas, it's like riddled with spoilers.
I know. I was like randomly looking at some TikToks of I think it was just random, and they started showing me like Sarah J. Maas ones. And obviously, I've read a good portion of Throne of Glass, and I've read all of the ACOTAR series. So, I don't really go on with too much caution, and I can't imagine not having known any of the stuff about this series like going on there. There's so many spoilers with art, or like when people try to make a funny joke about these series, I'm like, you're giving away the whole plot.
Yeah, you're giving away like
because I feel like
stuff.
Yeah, I feel like when I was like really active on Tumblr, we were so careful about like tagging things and like putting spoiler warnings. And then like I feel like with TikTok, it's like just become this minefield. And like even on Twitter, people will like when shows are airing, people will immediately start posting these things that are like spoilery. And I'm like, where
with
has
no warning whatsoever.
Yeah. Or like a book comes out and literally the day the book comes out, people will post spoilers. And it's like, give people at least a week. I mean, for books, I feel like you should get like
a month.
I mean, but even then, like I've known a few people that are like, oh, this obviously is going to contain spoilers because this book came out 10 years ago. Like, you should have read it. I'm like, that's not a valid argument to have. No. Like, not everyone can read every book.
Yeah. Well, that's like with this series. This one's been out for so long that people like have given up on giving spoilers. And I'm like, no, you should still, if it doesn't happen in the book description of like the first book, it's a spoiler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Anyway, that's my little rant.
No, I mean, it's a good one. This has actually inspired me. I feel like I should maybe put spoilers in the description of this video, just in case somebody doesn't catch that I'm like saying at this point there are spoilers. But yeah, that like ruins my life. Like, I'm not kidding. I will like stop reading a book. And
I feel like for things like this, it's obvious there's going to be spoilers. Well, there's going to be spoilers because it's a discussion of
right. Yeah. Normally, though, I will say it's like, oh, we're not going to talk about spoilers, and there's like a banner or something that says like no spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers.
And then you like have a spoiler warning thing that comes up when you do start talking about it. That's why I always ask, like, are we going into spoilers or?
Yeah.
I assume that we just talk spoilers from the entirety of the video. That's where my head is. I'm like, nothing's off the table. You have
also
to
once you get into like book 3, 4, 5, like you can't talk about a book without having some spoilers, unless you're doing vague, like these are my feelings on it. But when it's like a fantasy series, I feel like that's hard.
These are all definitely spoiler discussions, I'll say it.
Yeah.
For anyone else who is still here. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for Heir of Fire.
I'm excited.
It's going to be a good time.
Maybe I'll finish it before the hour and a half before the show.
I know, I'm like, Loki, I think I'm going to just go right into the next one and just knock it out because I'm crazy. But so I'm having a great time on the reread.
Question, in the next one, are we also going to talk about Assassin's Blade?
Yeah, I was talking about that earlier.
Okay, cool. Then I will read both of them.
Yes. So, just to go through some logistics, our next show will be in 2 weeks, around the same time. Yeah. So an official date is the 22nd. And we will be talking about Heir of Fire. And also, actually, I should change the YouTube banner now that I'm thinking about that, because I should put Assassin's Blade on there as well. I didn't think about that when I made that. All right, I'll change that.
Because I saw Steph's, and it did have Assassin's Blade, like, in there. It might have been, like, your Patreon, like, monthly calendar thing that said, like, this plus this. And then I just saw just Heir of Fire for the other thing, and I was like, so
no,
confused.
It should be both. It's gonna be both. But yeah, so we'll talk about both of those books, and we'll really see, like, is the romantic way better, or is the purist way better? We'll talk in depth about that and how we felt.
Oh God. I read it the romantic way both times.
Oh, it's fine. I think you read it romantic, and you read it romantic. This is your first time.
This is my first time.
And this is your reread, right? And then I'm reading it purist, and Sarah read it purist, but it's Sarah's first time, and it's my reread. So it like kind of balances out, I think.
Yeah.
For all of us, but yeah, it'll be cool. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, 2 weeks from now, October 22nd, around the same time, we'll talk about both books. And obviously spoilers. Okay, we'll just make that clear from day one. Spoilers. I'm excited to talk about these books with you guys. Do we have any final questions, comments, concerns, or any poetry readings that we'd like to, embark on before this wraps up?
Do you have any good quotes?
One that made me cackle out loud was when she walked in. It's page 266 if anybody wants to read it again. But she walks in with Graves' head, and Kale comes to her chair, grasping her elbow. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" And Selena looks up at him and smiles sweetly. "Your job, apparently."
That was good.
I was like, burn! My annotation is literally all caps, burn!
Well, he really does drop the ball multiple times. Like, there's times where she just, like, sneaks out and just, like, is doing all these other things. I was like, where is Kale? Like, literally, how can you say that you're
I love Kale, but I genuinely don't understand how he became captain of the Royal Guard.
I know.
Like,
it's nepotism.
Nepotism, yeah.
I like genuinely am confused by that whole thing.
Never
like,
killed anybody.
He should have been like
ever
part of the Royal Guard, or like he should not have been captain. I feel like that was an SJM like
a cop
little
out.
plot hole. Yeah, I was like, you did not, and there's no reason that he would need to be captain. I
think you're correct, because he didn't even know that she had a secret passageway. I'm like, if I'm captain of the guard, I need to know where all the secret passageways in the building are. What if somebody comes in and kills the king?
I think
Sorry, go for it.
I think it's to make her more interested in him and like them have actual reason to be together, and like
he could have been her bodyguard though, and it would have been the same thing.
Yeah, but I'm saying like if it was just one of the subjects, where like she would not even show him any like time of day.
But he was friends with Dorian.
What you're saying is their love is founded based on only his infamy, and not who he is as a person.
Well, she would never be in his eyesight if it wasn't for that. So yeah, pretty much.
No, because I think
she's like so above everyone else. She has really high self-esteem. Okay, and like we love that, but she's a little full of herself sometimes.
Well, I think she would have noticed, and like he is high. Like he could have been a high-ranking.
He said he is hot.
I know. I was like, he is hot. You're correct.
not freaking no, Christine. I was watching the first little part of your sprints yesterday to see if you were reading this or if you're reading something else. And when you showed the fan art that was on your cover of Dorian and Kale, I was like, absolutely not. That is not how.
That's why I was saying, I was like, I need to get new dust jackets because I saw ones that are actually like. The men are fine. I was like, I don't know what happened.
Is it the Touch of Magic ones? I feel like Touch of Magic has really good.
I refuse to believe that that's what Dorian and Kale look like.
I think they were the ones that I sent y'all.
I hate to say it.
Okay, what I was going to say before I had my coughing attack was... Sorry, did I interrupt you? Okay.
Ooh, no.
Yeah, I think that she still would have noticed, like, she still could have noticed him if he was just, like, a high-ranking guard. And because he is, like, Dorian's friend, that would have put him in a position where it's like, okay, well, you're, like, a very trusted, high-ranking guard. You're specifically assigned to guard
Selena.
The assassin.
Right.
And that would have, like... She would have had interest in him being like, ooh, who's this person who's like obviously friends with the prince and like he once was a lord and is now this like lowly guard. I don't know. I think that would have made it interesting.
It would have been interesting, you're right. But like
it doesn't make sense that he's captain.
I don't think Dorian would have been even giving him the time of day, bro code or not, you know what I mean? Like them knowing each other for so long, I feel like he would think he's so above him. I mean, he is now, obviously, but
I think but they were friends before he was.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I just feel like now in present day, he'd be like, "Oh, like you're not captain of the guard. Like, I don't f with you," you know.
I see what you're saying.
I don't know.
think it would have like rounded out some of Dorian's character from the beginning. But also, it's just I think it's exactly what Catherine said. It's just like Sarah J. Maas. I don't think at that point she was thinking like that. I think she just kind of was like, "What can I give him?" You know,
because who's going to be captain without even having seen battle? Like,
no.
And so he has some say. Like, obviously, in the end, when he's like, "Oh, we should put Selena here," like no one would have listened to him if he wasn't captain of the guard.
I think it's probably just like one of them YA things, you know.
One of them YA things.
Yeah. Just like, that's fine.
That's
like
fair.
we accept
That's
it.
fair.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah. Any other quotes? Any other favorite quotes anybody's got? No?
No.
Yeah, this book sucked, huh? Yeah, it was the worst.
No, but like when she was like, "You'll always be my enemy," I wanted to die.
Ooh, that was a good part. That was a good part when she was like, "You'll always be my enemy." Like that's how you know Selena was playing them from day freaking one. Like she knows who she is, you know. And she says that at the end of the book. At the end of the book, she's literally like, talking to her friend Nehemia, her grave. But she's like, I forgot who I was, and I really apologize for that because I am literally Aelin, and I'm gonna make this right. Like you're right, I was a coward. That part, that part. Whoa, that was so country. Sorry.
That part.
They just like shorted out just now. But that part gave me goosebumps because that's like literally like, you know what I mean? Like it's an avenging speech. Like it's obviously it's not to a person because she's dead, but like that's her making a promise and like she's gonna go through on that promise. You know what I'm saying? And nothing's gonna stop her. Like she's not gonna stay behind in this throne, you know, for anything. Like she's gonna keep moving forward until she gets her crown. And like that I'm getting goosebumps right now. I'm like, this girl's coming for you. And I think it also makes it even more heavy when she's talking to Dorian and she's like, I'm coming back for you. she's not saying it like I'm coming back to kill you. You know what I mean? Like she's saying that like I'm coming back for you as a friend, and like no matter what's gonna happen between like you and your dad, like even if you're on this throne, like I'm coming back to make sure that you're gonna be okay. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. No, she's gonna come back so they can get married and have babies and be gross together.
Is that your prediction?
Yes. That's why I think she said it. It's foreshadowing.
It's super foreshadowing. Like,
oh no, I think she's gonna end up with whoever this Rowan person is that everyone keeps talking about that I haven't met yet.
I love it. I love it so much.
That's my foreshadowing because everyone can't shut up about him. So you know,
yeah,
he is pretty great. He is pretty great. But there are a lot of, you know, fun characters that come up. So everybody is going to be taken care of. Nobody worry. It was sad. It really, truly was. But it is what it is.
No, but like, and then when he, you know, puts Selena back in her chambers after taking her out of like the dungeon or whatever, and then he said that like he'd lost her and she would never, like, ever. They would never ever get back to and she would never in 1,000 lifetimes let him in again. I was like, oh my god.
Not like that. You know, it's hard to get over that. So she's got some character development.
True. And then so like that happens, right? And then towards the end, I did see some people like talking about this in their spoilery vlogs or whatever, but talking about how I still don't see it as really a betrayal of him hiding the stuff that he knew about the king, like questioning Nehemia, whatever. You can think what you think. But then at the end, when she's like word vomiting, telling him everything, people are like, I wouldn't have told him that. Like, I wouldn't have trusted him with that information. Like, that was a choice. What do you think?
Are you talking about when she's talking about the word keys and stuff?
Yeah, like just basically telling him everything and like putting him in danger for like knowing that stuff too.
I see what you're saying, but I also think that I think she believes that he's not going to stay on Anderlin's, whatever, that kingdom side. Like, I think that's the whole point of like her bringing up the will and being like, look, no matter what, like if you get fired or like your dad disowns you again, like whatever, you've got this in case I die. I think that's like literally her being like, I know that you're going to make the right decision. And so her trusting him with this information is like, they are like enemies technically still, but like she's like, you know, I'm gonna tell you this so that somebody else knows in case something happens to me or whatever, and then you can do something about it.
I don't even think they're enemies. I think she does trust him, and after she like finds out all the stuff with Archer, I think she does trust him in that way. I think the thing that she doesn't trust is she doesn't trust her heart with him. Like she just can't trust having those feelings for someone. And I think that's the main part is she doesn't want to put herself in that like vulnerable position after like whatever happened with this guy Sam and with the you know this thing
Don't even bring up Sam right now, please don't. I'm fragile.
See, I don't know Sam. I haven't read that part, so I don't know. And I have a feeling I'm gonna read that in Assassin's Blade, and I have a feeling I'm not gonna be well. But you know,
it gives them all. It gives everybody a lot of context, I think. And I think the characters coming up, they have a lot of, you know, character backgrounds and development and stuff. So, you know, kind of like what Steph was saying, like the next book isn't super plot heavy, like it is, but like it's not like this one. I don't think it's definitely like you're getting to know these like next set of characters, and then even more of like the characters that we've already been introduced to. At the end, she says, "I'd still pick you. I'll always pick you." And that's an interesting thing. It's like, is she talking about him and Kale? You know, him compared to like anyone else she wants to be with.
Well, doesn't she say that? She says that to Kale, or does she say that to Dorian? I can't remember.
I think she says it to Kale.
She says it to
Yeah.
Kale.
Yeah.
So
Still sobbing during that part.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
They have a deep connection. Those
Yeah.
two. Like, they understand each other on a deeper level, I think. A different level. Here we go. A different level than like her and Dorian. But like her and Dorian are still buddies. They're still pals. Like they still understand that like they're gonna have to do a lot of stuff to like make things right.
Yeah. I mean, we have like 6 more books of things that are happening, so
it's a strong team. Okay, she's getting the team together.
There's a lot going on.
Because when we get to that last book, y'all.
Well, and there is evidence of what we were just talking about on page 394.
I'm literally tearing up.
On page 394, she says, but even though I know you're not responsible, I still, and then he's like, you can't trust me. And she said, when I look at you, all I want to do is touch you, but what happened that night, I don't know if I can ever forget it. For my part, I am sorry for what I did to you. And then he's like, we both made mistakes. How can you still look at me like that when you know what I truly am? Oh, God. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it is she's like, she doesn't want to put herself in that position again of caring that much. But then I know that like her whole journey is going to be having to open her heart and being okay with caring.
Yeah.
I think she's definitely the queen of like putting aside her like romantic like escapades to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she did put aside Dorian for like a second, so that was pretty badass. But then, like we were saying earlier, then it's like as soon as Kale, gives a little, she's like, okay.
Yeah, but she's putting him aside.
I mean, she's
right
still
now.
like an 18-year-old girl who wants to be.
No, I'm saying like I don't necessarily want her to not have a romance with someone.
Yeah.
She has a lot to work on, essentially.
There's a lot.
Before she comes back. Whew, I'm getting hype. I'm getting hyped thinking about the plot of all the other ones. So wait, Steph, what book are you actually on?
I'm in the middle of Assassin's Blade.
Okay, beautiful.
Okay.
Wonderful. Great.
I didn't want to get too far ahead because I was like, what if I accidentally say something that's not actually from that book?
Don't spoil it for us.
I can't
Me and Sarah, we're in the dark here.
Yeah, because the farther we get, I feel like the more kind of things happen with like plot and like the little like connections between things.
Yeah, I mean, after Queen of Shadows, I'm with you. I haven't read anything.
Nice.
Yeah. Exciting.
I know. I have to just break down and get the physical books so I can do the tandem read because I don't think I can Kindle the tandem read. I think that'll be too hard.
Well, darn, Catherine, darn it. Having to get the books.
Shucks.
I know you hate doing that.
I know. I hate buying books.
Crazy.
I'm firmly against buying books.
So crazy that you have to do that, but darn, that'd be really crazy if you had to do that.
Crazy, insane. Let me look up the price of the box set real quick.
It's $150.
What?
It's $150.
Okay. That's not too bad.
He's like, I'm a manager now, baby. I can do whatever I want.
I have a discount. It's fine.
There you go.
No, I think it is so cool though that like the way I didn't know where my sentence was going there.
Okay.
I was gonna say no. The way it's cool that we're putting out that like we are tandem reading this because I think it would be so hard for us to do what we're doing with like the purist and the romantic reading order where it's like you can do which one you prefer because us trying to be like, oh, we're gonna tandem read this, but like maybe everyone won't, and then having to discuss one book and then the other when we've all tandem read it and having to like keep it straight what was in this book and what was in that one
because we're all tandem reading, right?
It's it's honestly super hard too. Like once you read them you'll be like, wait, huh? Because I remember the first time, it's gonna make so much more sense this time around. The first time I read it, I hadn't read the book previous to Tower of Dawn since it had come out, and it had been like I think like a year or something. So I'm reading Tower of Dawn and I'm like, what happened? And then I'm like, wait, what? And so then I just got so confused. So I think this is really gonna be chef's kiss.
Let me like put my order in now. Hold on.
Gosh darn it. Twist her arm. Twist her arm. But yeah, okay. I think we're wrapped. I think we're good. We've talked all we needed to talk. I've seen what I needed to see. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, for real. Any other thought-provoking items? Anything else on the docket? Anything else we want to say before we get the hay out of here?
I'm excited for the next one.
I'm nervous for the next one.
I'm so excited to talk about the next one.
Me too.
But like I will say, as soon as I finished this, I like immediately wanted to pick up the next book.
Yeah. I'll probably pick it up tomorrow because I'm still sick. So
I think I'm literally gonna start it tonight. I'm gonna make my little ramen bowl, put my little audio book in. I'm just gonna sit here, act like I'm watching TV.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I was like, maybe I'll just finish Assassin's Blade while I'm doing stuff tonight.
Maybe.
It's a fun time. Assassin's Blade is a fun time. We'll get into it next time. Okay. All right, guys. I think that's it. We're wrapped. We're done. That is Crown of Midnight. So, so long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Adieu. Okay.
Adieu.
Random question. Do you guys like the old covers better or the new ones? I'm an old covers galley, so that's me.
I like them both. Very different.
Yeah.
I like the
Catherine?
I have no strong feelings about either of them, honestly, which is like strange for me because I normally have very strong feelings about covers. But yeah. I don't know.
I like the coloring of these better, but like I don't like the original covers at all. But I'm saying like this and the new covers, like the UK ones, I like the font on the UK ones better.
Yeah, I agree.
But the colors I like better on these ones.
Yeah.
I like the colorings on these ones more than of the like new covers of ACOTAR.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate the honestly don't even mind the design of the ACOTAR ones. I just hate the colors of them.
Yeah, the gray and orange.
Yeah, it was like gray and orange, but even like them in paperback, it's like neon orange.
How are they
like
going to do that to my girl?
Red. And it's just like it's so for all of them are so bad.
Love them, but okay.
Okay, well,
I was like, there's new covers, and I was like, oh wait, you mean the ones that like I think are just the covers?
Yeah, a lot of people like the new ones, which is fine. Like you can. I think I'm just not partial to them because I like character art.
Yeah.
So like when you have like a random like lion on the front, you're like, this has nothing to do with the series at all.
It really doesn't.
Is it?
Well, I think even like I own the first Throne of Glass in the original cover. That's not like what Selena looks like.
Well, it's what 2010 Selena looks like. Like you've seen her outfit, right? She's got like low slung like 2010.
Yeah.
Like isn't she supposed to be so beautiful? I was like, not to character shame, but
well, that was beautiful in 2010, Sarah. Beautiful
in 2010,
and
that was the look.
Yeah, honestly, what she's wearing in that Throne of Glass, like the cover of that, it's.
I'm not talking about what she's wearing. I'm talking about her face.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
Like she looks Fae-like in there. Like she looks like this kind of weirdly Fae.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know why they did that for the first one, especially.
You know they'd be ruining things. We already know.
I know.
They truly do. But what I was going to say about her outfit was it's giving more Crescent City vibes than it is like medieval, like assassin vibes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I always laughed at that first cover because I'm like, what are you wearing? Are you wearing a leather jacket? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So I don't know. But yeah, I do love character art. So I think that's why I like the old ones. And, you know, they're just the originals. This also, I was going to say, sounds like me, like with the ACOTAR series.
Oh, and you also did talk about this on your live yesterday. I feel like such a creeper, but you did talk about the fact that, wait, no, somebody asked you a question if the hardcovers were out of the new covers, and they are. And you said they weren't.
Out of the new covers.
Of these covers.
The hardcovers? Oh, I said they weren't?
Yeah.
I think they are.
Oh.
They are.
I was like, I feel like I would say I didn't know, because I don't know.
You're like, I don't think so, but I don't know.
Oh, you can't buy them as a box set. That's annoying.
Yeah.
The hardcovers, yeah, you can.
Not for me.
Like, not with my discount.
I see them. Oh, at the sorry. Yeah, maybe that's because they're at Barnes and Noble all the time.
I'll look into it. There may be different. Yeah, because these are okay. This company. Now we're just totally off track. This company, A Touch of Magic Design, they do really pretty.
Oh wait, hold on.
These ones.
Hold on. How do I get you to be the one?
I don't know. Make me the one.
Solo layout, just the little thing in the left hand. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you've never done a live show before.
I know. Just please.
This is your first time.
Queen of Shadows one. I really like that one.
Yeah. No, I really like these ones.
Do you, Sarah? Do you really like the Queen of Shadows one?
Because I like the colors.
Is that Dorian?
Are you trying to say that's Dorian?
Oh, I will not confirm or deny anything.
Although, sorry, something that am I wrong that in the first book, or maybe it's the second book, they described Dorian as being like blonde?
I thought he was dark haired.
That's what I thought. I thought he had like black hair. Every character art I've ever seen, he has black hair, but I thought maybe
he has dark hair and blue eyes. I think his brother is blonde though.
I think his brother is a ginger.
Or yeah, like he's like red haired or something.
Yeah.
Like something like that. No, the ones that I was looking at, I'll find them.
I definitely think Kale is supposed to have darker hair than Dorian.
No, he has brown hair. Kale is like tan.
Is that one Kale?
Brown eyes. I'm
Don't
not gonna
say anything.
Lie. Okay. Stop looking at things, Catherine.
No, I hate
you literally said you don't want spoilers.
Don't talk to me, okay?
Okay.
Talk to me.
Who's this dude?
Stop it.
Legolas?
I gotta go.
Legolas? It was the way you said it. Legolas? Yeah, Kale is like a tanned brown, baddie. And Dorian is a fair-skinned, dark-haired, blue-eyed man.
Well, in my mind, it's swapped, and that's how I'm gonna picture it. So.
Okay, so really, you're in love with Dorian.
No.
Oh my god.
Okay.
I can't do this.
Just because of hair color, you think I'm gonna switch it up?
I
guess crazier things have happened.
We will see. We will see. On that note, we're gonna end this live. Okay.
Okay.
Crowd of Midnight, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. We love being here. We love talking with you guys, and we love talking about these crazy kooky books. Sarah Janet, he did something here.
Sarah Janet.
So anyway, we are going to end the live for tonight. But if you can just do me a solid, and if you're not following all of the hosts that are here, just go down the description because I prepared that. Okay, that's at least prepared. And do me a solid and subscribe. Watch their most recent video, like, comment, go to a live, have some fun, tune in, whatever. Anyway, we love you guys. We're going, but we'll see you in 2 weeks. Read the other 2 books as your homework. Okay. Love you guys. Bye.